Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me today is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
So hopefully everybody's doing okay during this coronavirus time of 2020.
Yeah, I think most people are. Most people are okay, at least.
Yeah, there's a lot of states that are in lockdown, but I think most of the people involved just are kind of staying home and doing their normal stuff or work.
It could be worse, let's just put it that way. We can't complain.
Well, hopefully everybody's staying safe and hasn't had to deal with the actual virus. And
Well, we assume.
yeah,
Maybe some people
I'm
are.
wishing that
Right.
most people have just had to alter their lives a little bit and stay home a lot. And maybe you've turned this into a positive and taken up new hobbies or caught up on things you didn't think you would have time for before.
Oh, I'm sleeping in a lot. I don't know if that counts as taking advantage of, but that's what I'm doing. So, yeah. Trying not to gain weight.
Yeah, that's the struggle right now, huh?
I mean, what happens when you stock up all this food, which is a smart thing to do. I'm not going to say that's a dumb thing to do. But now you're stuck at home with all this food. The tendency is to gain weight.
Yeah,
So,
it's right there.
right. But so far, I really maybe I've gained a pound or two. It's not been too bad.
That's good. And I haven't done anything too different. Maybe
Nothing's been that different.
reading some more. Working from home is different, but that's a whole other topic. But done some more reading, done a lot of cleaning.
It's
like our
definitely
house is...
It's definitely another topic. Yeah, working from home.
Yeah.
And I thought I would not be productive, but the honest truth is I'm probably more productive at home.
Yeah.
Because when that barrier of work and personal life is just broken down totally, and when your work is for people who work from home, their work is generally, sitting at a computer.
Yeah.
And when you go home, well, you're probably sitting at a computer again, most likely, right? So much of our personal lives is just, like watching a screen at a computer. Anyway, when that barrier breaks down, you kind of feel like you're always at work. So work is just in front of you at all times. There's a tendency to want to do it, even if you're not the hardest worker, which God knows I'm not. I'm at my computer anyway. It's right there in front of me. I tend to just do some. Whether it's 7 p.m., whether it's 8 p.m., whether it's 2 a.m., I'll tend to just do some. And
it's easier to just keep going. Just like, let me look at the next email.
Yeah, it's like there's more. If there's more stuff to do, then your tendency is to do it. It's like, well, there's more to do. I may as well just tick this off. Like, oh gosh. I mean, the task is not going away. Which I think at the end of the day, this is why, you know what? This is the phenomenon that a lot of Silicon Valley companies like to, I won't say like abuse, capitalize on.
Yeah,
So
that's
what
how they
try to-
trick people into working longer.
Yeah, they try to make it so comfortable for you to be at work. They give you free food, they make it comfortable, they say, take a nap in these nap pods or whatever. And it all seems very progressive, and I agree it is. But what happens is when they break down that work-life barrier, you tend to do work more. Work seems to be at the top of your brain. Not because you love it necessarily, but because it's more concrete and it dominates, right? Like if you have a series of tasks in your mental task list, like what do I need to do today? 8 out of 10 items will be work related, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you have no work-life barrier. You don't clock out at a certain time. Which tasks are you going to be focused on throughout your entire life? Work tasks.
Yeah, things have to get done by
Like this is a
time.
concrete task. I know it has to be done. You're going to focus on that until you sleep. They'll probably extract more work from you, as opposed to people who have a very discrete, well, I clocked out of work at 5 and I went home. And
Yeah.
they don't think about work at all. And if they can break down the work-life balance, they probably extract more productivity out of me. And I kind of resent that. No, I don't resent that. This is no big deal. Like I can stop myself. Like sometimes at like 3 o'clock, I'll just say, no, I'm going to stop working. I'm going to go play video games now because I want to. But the point is, it sounds really great and cushy and wonderful to work from home and all that, but you might actually be working more. And breaking down that work-life separation, it's a double-edged. It could be good, but it could also be bad.
Could be dangerous.
Right. It might seem like, oh, cool, I work from home. I can just wake up whenever and do whatever. But due to human nature, you will probably devote more energy and time to work. Just trust me on this. I really feel that working from home, I actually have worked more. Whereas when I went to the office and went home, well, it's sort of coming home from the office made me have this delineation where I just stopped working.
Yeah.
I did not think about it at all.
But if you're on the same computer, it's like that's just another window that's open already.
Correct. It's 10 p.m., but all the same windows are open. It's staring at me in the face. I may as well do it.
So I was like, well, I might as well
Right.
get this one thing out of the way, and then it's the next thing, and next email. I find you do lose sense of time. You can just keep going for hours, and what time is it?
Right. I mean, maybe I wake up at 10, and that's when I start actually working, but I don't stop working until 10. That's 12 hours. You know, I'm always more or less in a work mindset until 10, 12, whatever, when I go to sleep. So, you know, I'm not complaining, but it's one of those things to think. Anyway, that's update what's happening with us, I guess.
Don't work too hard if you're working from home.
Yes, try to actually stop working at some point. Believe it or not, you're don't worry, you're not short shrifting your company. You're actually maintaining your own levels of sanity by having a stop time every day and respecting it.
So, as we all know, the Map of the Soul tour for North America has been postponed by Big Hit. We don't know when it's going to happen, and we probably won't know for a while.
I know last time we speculated maybe they could just postpone the earlier dates, but now kind of sounds like the whole thing will be postponed. They don't know. Well, we don't know. We don't know, right? We don't know. Nothing is for sure yet, but it has not been canceled.
Yeah.
That's
going to be an important point for some of the things we're going to talk about today.
Right.
It is not canceled. It is only postponed at this point.
Well, the Korea dates have been canceled.
Yeah, well, those are canceled. And now I'm thinking there must have been some kind of law that was behind that because, they wouldn't let the South Korean equivalent of Ticketmaster hold on to people's money for like an unknown amount of time. So I think that's why those got canceled.
Most likely.
But apparently like Ticketmaster here can just hold on to it until whenever. And we'll get to that story. But in the meantime, so the tour for us has been postponed, but Big Hit has decided that they're going to stream an online concert called Bang Bang Con on YouTube on April 18th and 19th weekend. So that's something.
Is it live?
Live as far as these
concerts. Are they performing live?
No, these are concerts that happened already.
Oh, okay. So they're just showing pre-recorded stuff.
Yes. These are past tours.
Has the footage been seen anywhere already?
They may have. I think these are all DVDs that have been available, but if you bought them. But I know there's a lot of BTS Army that maybe wasn't there on day one. I know I wasn't. I've only liked them for over a year, so...
It's still not bad. It's still good.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of these concerts, so that's going to be something that a lot of people can look forward to. And, you can look at all the earlier work and see how the whole evolution happened. And it's like a lot of footage that they're going to show. So I don't know if these are concerts that they sold DVDs on or the ones that they didn't make a DVD of and it's like previously unreleased or whatever. But they've performed so many times in the past. I'm sure this is something new for everybody. Even if you went to that tour, it's probably something different that they're going to show on this Bang Bang Con. And it's free. So if you have YouTube, you can watch it on the Bangtan TV channel.
Like I said, it should be. Like the previous story we talked about where they're going to, quote unquote, make $1 billion from an online concert. Yeah, no, they're not going to do that. Yeah, but that was the first question people had is like, whoa, this sounds great, but is it free? And turns out of course it's free.
And I think it's a good idea. Because,
if it's something live, they should charge for it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Something new.
Well, even then, maybe not. Because other people are doing live concerts. They're not charging.
Yeah. I think at this point, it's more about staying in the public eye. And I think this is a good compromise for right now because I think they still are holding on to, we're going to have this concert.
They will.
In the next months or whatever, this year, hopefully. And let's just hold on to all of that until then. But at least they have something to show people, like these older concerts that, a lot of people haven't seen anyway.
It's fine. Yeah. It's at least something to look at.
And so it's a lot of concerts, actually. It's kind of seems like it's going to be like 8 hours on both days because it's like 3 or 4 concerts and then 3 or 4 concerts on the second day. Mm-hmm. So that's like a lot of footage.
Right.
So that should keep people busy. And I saw on Weverse that Big Hit had all their, well, not all of them, but their programmers were working on getting the light stick to work at the same way it works in the concert so that it'll light up at the key times.
What are you talking about?
If you have your light stick on and you have it on the button that says, to let...
Even at home?
Yeah, they somehow programmed it for that if you're watching it live.
How I don't know. I'm not understanding technology or something. How will that happen?
I don't know. I think you have to connect it somehow, sync it with Weverse or something.
Well, I'm sorry. That does sound kind of lame because it's just your one light flashing. I mean, in the stands, yeah, it looks cool because they're all synchronized.
That's true.
But you're just in your living room. It's just one light flashing. You just look like a dork.
But yours will be the same as what you see on the screen.
Oh, okay, I get it. Oh, no, I understand then. Yours will be the same as on the screen. Okay, I understand.
And I bet you in a live concert, that's changed manually. It's like someone at the moment is like, okay, everybody change to green, everybody change to purple or whatever. But they had to like probably program it in. It's like, at 1063 or whatever, it's like change it to this color. They had to do all that.
And that's really cool. I'm not downgrading it in the concert. That's really cool. Like BTS has had it, and I guess all the K-pop groups had it. Mm-hmm. That was kind of a new thing to us. The only other act that we saw do that was Taylor Swift.
Yeah, she had the wristbands that had changed color.
And that was
the ticket.
Yeah, and that was mind blowing when that happened. It was like, wow, they know what seat we're in. We didn't know that at the time, but this is old news. They stole that from K-pop.
That has been happening in K-pop for years.
We thought that she was some kind of trailblazer or something. She just stole it from K-pop, probably. It's still cool, regardless. But I thought Taylor Swift was the first one ever to do that in the world.
Yeah,
she wasn't.
That's the first time I saw it.
She stole it.
And now it's to the point where every group has a custom light stick. Like they have to make a different design than everything else.
What technology gets to your light stick? Is it Bluetooth? It's Bluetooth, right?
You connect it, to your phone, and then that must be through
it
internet.
Must be Bluetooth. Not Wi-Fi, because you don't connect to the Wi-Fi.
No.
And then they know what section you're in based on technology or magic or something. And then they have patterns in the crowd. Anyway, it's really cool. And in your living room, does yours still work? Yours still work, right?
It should. It's a version 3, so it should still... Yeah, I had the version 3, but apparently they just came out with a version 4, like special edition light stick. So leave it to Big Hit to...
I'm sure it's the same thing.
It's like, we have a whole nother one that looks slightly different.
I'll never buy one of them. No judgment on anyone who has, but I'll never buy one of them. Yeah.
That should be fun. So at least that's something to watch during this weekend. And
that's this weekend?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right.
Well, by the time they hear this, it'll be over. It'll have happened already. But it's April 18 and 19, noon to midnight, Korean time.
It's on Saturday?
Yeah, Korean time. I didn't know if I was going to watch that or not. But yeah, apparently Lady Gaga is doing a big thing this weekend too, with multiple acts in it.
Yep. So. And then our friends are going to, they said, let's have a Zoom party and watch it together. And I said, no. Why do I want to sit here?
Zoom party.
Doesn't add anything to my experience watching a movie or watching a concert to be on Zoom and have you get to look at my face while we're all watching it. If I'm interested in the concert, I want to hear you.
People are starved for human contact right now.
But that's not human contact, in my opinion. It doesn't. I'm starved for human contact as well. I would love for people to come over, but a Zoom meeting is not a substitute. I'm sorry, not to me. If I get dressed and like normal, like I'm going on a night out, I feel robbed. Because it was just Zoom.
It's like I got all ready just to be at home.
I'm just at home on Zoom. I feel kind of, I feel a little bit gypped there. I'd rather not.
We can all watch the same thing separately, not on Zoom.
And I don't need to hear a comment in the middle of the thing. If you're here in person, that would be great. Because then we could just talk. I don't get the whole... Let's do Zoom happy hours.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get on the Zoom bandwagon and let's get on Zoom with everybody and like 20 people.
No,
and
I'm not.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
I'll just wait until we're back to normal and then I can see people in person because that's the only thing that's gonna live up to the reality.
It's 100% not the same. I'm not doing the Zoom happy hours. I'm not doing any of that.
It's really unflattering too. Like you turn on a Zoom and it's like, wait, why does my head look like small?
Well, there's
dark?
ways to make it look better.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but it's
so much work.
We're
I'm not
talking
sick.
about World War II. There was like people you didn't see your family members for years, and maybe they wouldn't even come
Wait, why?
home. Yeah, because they were at war.
Oh, the people who went to war.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
Right.
you may not see people for years,
True.
and people just were like, okay, I guess that's just how it is. We'll just deal
Right.
with it. Everybody's just at their own house and separate.
Right.
It's like we'll survive. It's okay. We're not gonna like fall apart because we don't talk to each other in person for a few.
We won't talk about it
months.
too much. I have my opinions, but we won't talk about it. I'm ready for it to be over, though.
Yeah,
Next.
feels like a lot of time has passed.
Yeah, we've been here for a month.
Speaking of getting back to normal, I'm looking at a news story that says Santa Clara officials are not expecting games to be allowed until November. So this is talking about Levi Stadium, and South Bay health officials suggested this week that an optimistic goal might be for the return of sporting events in mid-November. This is Dr. Jeffrey Smith from Santa Clara County is saying that Levi Stadium, where the BTS concert was going to be, is not going to be open until Thanksgiving. This is his opinion.
Guess.
Yeah.
Right. It's not for sure, but they think that probably that's the timeline.
That seems like a long time from now.
It is a long time.
all I'm thinking.
Yeah. I can believe it, though. I can believe that they don't think that public gatherings of 60,000 people will be allowed till November. It does seem like that's possible. But, the facts on the ground keep changing day to day, so we can only hope that it improves. But at the moment, that's probably the safe thinking. They don't think that they'll have that.
Yeah, and you can always say a date and then, and if it happens sooner, then, everybody's happy. They're fine with that. It's like, that's unexpected.
Right. But maybe worst case scenario, November is what you're looking at. I could see that happening.
I think they've got models and they're looking at models and it'll say, this many cases are happening and this is how many are going to happen in the next few months. And so far, like as far as the models that have been used by the White House, they've been higher and then they've scaled back after, some time. And it's like you see what happens. So I think, okay, he can say November. It won't necessarily be November. So that's just something to look at as far as like estimates.
Related back to BTS and Kpop and concerts, because obviously if they're talking about football games, this also relates to concerts. You could be looking at outright cancellation. You could be looking at a long postponement. Everything is on the table. That's the way you've got to look at it. And this is not just our area. This is if you have tickets in any area, this is the way everybody's looking at it most likely.
Because, all of the concerts were stadiums pretty much, right?
Yeah. But this is not to say that everything will be shut down till November, but it will be different levels, right? Like businesses will be open and then such and such number of people can gather. And I'm pretty sure that gatherings of 60,000 people will be the very last thing that's allowed. You could have a relatively normally functioning society through, the summer, and it will look like, okay, everything is pretty much back to normal. But they will still not allow a 60,000 person gather.
Yeah.
That's totally possible because that's kind of an abnormal part of life, to be honest. So they may still have that banned for a long, long time.
But at least we know once stadium gatherings are allowed, then life is pretty much almost back to normal.
Well, if a stadium gathering is allowed, then I would say life is back to normal. I mean, what's bigger than that? That is absolutely the largest thing that you could allow.
The largest kind of risk.
Yeah. So once that is allowed, then okay, everything is back to normal. I wouldn't be surprised if those are not allowed for a good long time. And in that case, maybe some things, and they don't like to hear it, but some things may have to be canceled. The good news is that if things are canceled, you will get a refund. The bad news is that it doesn't happen, of course. Well, just be mentally prepared for anything under the sun to happen in this scenario.
I mean, I'm almost glad that this guy said November, even though deep down, I don't really believe it'll be that long. I'm glad he said that because anything sooner, it's like, I'm grateful for that. If it's October, if it's September, if it's August, then it's like, okay, well, that's better than expected.
Yeah, but it could also be worse than November. It could be like 2021.
Yeah, I think
Just
I saw some other article. Someone was saying like fall 2021 is when concerts can happen again.
I saw some article that said that it won't be till 2022 that things are back to normal. Now, keep in mind, it's just one article.
Yeah.
Just people speculating. Like I said, information is changing day to day. So the speculation that people have now, take it with a grain of salt, okay? Doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. if I had to guess, I would say that things will be back to normal by fall. By November, December, large gatherings will be permitted again.
This same article is saying the NFL is going to release their schedule on May 9th. And so are they going to say,
well the
it's going to be in this
the thing is that the
stadium?
NFL doesn't have to play with people in front of it.
Oh, okay.
They can just have players play.
That's true.
Yeah. Now, will they lose a bunch of money because the tickets are not sold? Yes. But they make a ton of money from TV. So it's absolutely worth it for the players just to play in front of nobody. I'm sure the vast majority of fans will still watch it. You know?
I mean, at least you can be at home and there's something to watch.
Yeah.
Like people...
That's what they're talking about right now with the NBA. They want to finish the
God.
season. And none of those discussions involve fans. None of them involve fans.
we really need sports to happen because the whole sports scene, like everything they're talking about, there's like nothing to talk about.
Right.
It's really sad.
It's really sad. And you know this because I listen to sports YouTube all the time. And right now there's nothing to talk about.
I feel bad for all of these commentators.
Because they have like two topics.
It's like there's nothing.
They have like two topics and they're really stretching for topics. Like right now, basically the only thing sports talk people talk about is the NFL draft. And there's not that much to talk about. And once it's over, I really feel bad for them because it's over. What's there to talk about at that point? And they're also talking about just the dumbest things. Like they're dredging up the whole, is LeBron the greatest player of all time or is Michael Jordan the greatest player of all time? I heard like 18 discussions about that.
Yeah. Or like which Jordan Bulls team is the best team of all time. It's like how many times can we
discuss that? Even when there was no COVID-19, people were discussing that every now and then. It was already a dead topic, but now they're really dredging that stuff up. Oh my God. Back to our point. The fact that they don't think that sporting events can happen until November does have an impact on your BTS concerts, unfortunately. The way they're thinking can change based on changing information, and it is changing every day. So who knows?
Yeah.
All you can do is think positively, and things have not been canceled yet.
There's plenty of time to turn it around, so I think we're on our way.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if your concert postponed almost indefinitely or canceled outright, unfortunately.
Okay, speaking of postponed concerts, I'm seeing a lot of stories this week about Ticketmaster and how they changed or at least reworded their refund policy for postponed concerts. And this article says fans are upset at the fact that Ticketmaster quietly changed their refund policy as they began to struggle to meet refund demands. While other companies like StubHub are planning to petition the government for bailout money, Ticketmaster decided to go ahead and change the refund policy to only shows that were canceled. Mm-hmm. And it says previously Ticketmaster allowed refunds for shows that were postponed, canceled, or rescheduled, but now the new refund policy only applies to shows that are confirmed to be canceled.
StubHub petition for bailout money? Well, I guess it's a good idea to just petition no matter what.
You can try.
Yeah. Money is good no matter what. Yeah, I don't think they'll get it, but...
That's what I had thought was always the case, is like you can't get a refund on a postponed show because...
I had thought that was always the case.
Yeah.
But I guess they were just more generous than before. Look, it doesn't affect us because we're going to go see it. If it's postponed, we'll go see it. But to be fair, there's people who, let's say they have to travel to a location, then a postponement is almost as bad as a cancellation, essentially.
Yeah, like you might be someone from far away, another country. You can't guarantee you
for
can
those
travel.
types of people, I could see, I just want to get a refund if it's going to be postponed.
Yeah.
Because if it can't be this date, then it may as well be a cancellation.
Like maybe they could only leave on that date.
Right. But since we're seeing something in our area, then we're fine just seeing it whenever it's postponed too. Unfortunate. Obviously, the more flexibility, the better for fans. But this is just one of those things you're just gonna have to chalk up to the game. Normally, I would say first world problems, too bad, so sad, right? Like for instance, let's say for whatever reason the tickets that we bought, we just lost it. There's no refund. There's a cancellation but no refund, or something bad happened and you just lose out on like whatever your ticket costs, like $500 to $1,000. It's not ideal, obviously. It's not great. Nobody would celebrate or anything, but at the same time, if you're the type of person who can afford to buy a ticket that expensive, it's not the end of the world. So I don't feel terrible for you, but at the same time, in this particular situation, I know there's a lot of fans who really stretch themselves, maybe more than they should, to buy tickets that they can barely afford, right?
People that wanted sound check. Or
Right. They wanted
floor.
like an expensive ticket and they could barely afford it. And quite honestly, maybe they should not have bought something that expensive, right? And so if you're screwed out of that kind of purchase, that's really, really bad news, right? It's not like a rich person who just, hey, they bought an expensive car and the car blew up. And like, so what? You're rich. Who cares, right? The type of person who buy this car can afford to lose a car like that. But people, some people who, I understand, some people who buy an expensive BTS ticket, it really will hurt if it just goes poof, right? That's very, very bad. It probably should be a luxury, but the way a lot of fans, some people don't treat it as a luxury. They maybe stretch themselves a little bit over the limit to get this ticket. So it's very bad. It's very sad and unfortunate if those tickets just, I don't think anything will disappear for someone. I think there will be a refund at the end of the tunnel, right? Or you're going to have to really scramble. Let's say it postpones, but to a time that's inconvenient for you. You'll have to scramble to either make that date or sell that ticket on StubHub. But I don't think you'll lose out on that money entirely because there will still be demand for that, right? So you should still be able to resell it.
Yeah. It says they are offering that you can sell your ticket if you wanted to.
Right.
Through their program.
And this being a BTS concert, I imagine that there will still be enough demand that you'll at least get your money back or close to your money back if you bought expensive tickets that you can no longer make. But it's a bad situation.
I just think it's a tough situation for both sides because if you're a fan and you like used all your savings to buy a really good ticket and then now let's say you lost your job and so it's like I really need that money back so I could pay my rent.
Right.
It's like, well, that's
or maybe you need it now. You're
cool.
not going to get it now.
Yeah, Ticketmaster's not going to give it to you. But at the same time, Ticketmaster, they don't know when these dates are going to happen yet. They can't guarantee that they can give everybody a refund. They don't want to go bankrupt either.
Yeah.
It's like hard for everybody.
Yeah. But I doubt that many people will be in that situation. I think that most people are pretty rational about what they spend on stuff. Like no one's going to buy the $500 to the $1,000 ticket when they really should be buying cheaper tickets.
Yeah.
So, but we're fine. We'll make whatever date they postpone to. Hopefully they postpone and they don't cancel. Because I do not want to go through the experience of trying to secure second row seats again. I don't think I could.
I do think within a month we'll have a better idea of when these concerts might happen.
Yes, and hopefully they're not canceled, just postponed.
So there's some good news. In South Korea, a month and a half after the biggest coronavirus outbreak in Daegu, South Korea, they flattened the curve and the cases have peaked in February. So they're on the other side of their curve. So that's pretty good news. From this article, it says that the Koreans did it without ordering a mandatory lockdown. They had their public transport functioning, their malls were open, and people were going to work. And I think the only people that had to be quarantined were the ones that were sick. So the ones that had symptoms and had to go to a temporary hospital or an actual hospital if it was more serious. So it sounds like South Korea handled it really well, and they're on their way to getting back to normal. They also had their election, I think, this week. They had their national election. And they all voted in person. Like they had people going in person. And like they just had a lot of protocols for like everybody wears a mask, everybody uses like hand sanitizer and all these steps, but they still were able to hold their elections as normal and even had higher turnout. So I think that's a pretty good sign for South Korea getting back to normal and having their concerts and events at some point in the next couple of months. But
good,
that's a good job that they're able to get past this, because
excellent.
They probably had it not as bad as China, but they handled it really well for how many cases that they were having a couple months ago. So I think that's good news for K-pop groups, getting back out there and promoting things and getting back on their schedules. So that's a pretty good sign that they're past their peak.
Well, hopefully. I also heard of people getting infected again.
Like getting reinfected
after
they had it already? Oh, that's not good.
Which kind of indicates that maybe we should all just get infected and see what's what, Well,
that's weird, because like with flu, it's like you have it once and it's
if you have it once, then you're done. These are real reports that are happening.
Yeah.
But it does seem like, people are getting back to normal. And maybe that's a template for us.
It's under control in South Korea.
Yeah. So that's good news.
But
for sure.
The only thing I would say is that South Korea, they have a lot of citizens that listen and follow directions, whereas in the U.S., you don't necessarily have that. There's a lot of independent people, and they're not going to necessarily follow all the rules that are being
True.
said and the guidelines. So
True.
it's not like we're not going to bounce back as quickly, but at least that's a good sign as far as like Asia, they're recovering, South Korea, Japan, those areas. So that is concerns K-pop groups getting back to normal, because I'm sure they're getting pretty bored just being at home all the time. And
They're not locked down, are they?
no, they're not locked down, but I mean, they can't tour. They can't go to do their normal stuff.
Hopefully them stabilizing is evidence that will stabilize very soon. I mean, there's talk of, this is enough talk about it, but I'm ready for it to be over. And let's just roll the dice as far as what happens,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to ever reduce the death toll to 0. And that's not anyone's goal. They just want to reduce it to a reasonable number. They won't tell you what that is in their head, because it's really ghoulish to just talk about the numbers.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about people like their numbers.
You don't want to say, well, we find it acceptable if 200,000 people die. That doesn't sound great to say, but people in charge have to have a number in their head. And it's not realistic for it to be 0.
That's why they talk about curves. It's like, we're at this part of the curve instead of this many deaths.
30,000 people die in car crashes every year in this country. Do they shut down the freeway? No, because they find that an acceptable amount of people dying versus the benefit of having a road system, right? In their head, they have an acceptable number. And I think we're under it at the moment. So we're headed to, resuming normal life.
The biggest negative
okay with it.
To coronavirus is that everybody's just paying so much attention to it, because then it's like, that's how many deaths a day. It's like everybody's paying attention to all those stats.
I mean, for now, yeah. I think that they thought that maybe potentially that the biggest negative would be a gigantic number of people dying, because people, they don't know, right? They only could guess.
Yeah, but when you say this many people died of coronavirus today, you don't say this many people died of all these other things too.
No, you don't. You don't. And in fairness, for now, it's been a relatively low number. But I do think that, people in the know thought that it could be much higher. So in fairness, that's why they have these drastic measures, because they thought it could be a lot higher. But if it's not as high, then it's fair to say, well, just like we accept that about 30,000 people die on the roads every year. We accept that.
Car accident deaths.
We don't ban cars. Now, if 20 million people died on the roads every year, I'm pretty sure they would ban cars. They would say, okay, this is not a great idea. You people all just need to stop driving. If maybe even like 6 million people died, 4 million people died on the road every year, I think there would be a strong movement for people to ban cars and just say, you need to take the bus or something like that, right? It's definitely a cost-benefit analysis, but it's only 30,000, so they're fine with it. But hey, that's 30,000 people. That's not an inconsequential amount of people. And yet our government has determined that that is an acceptable number of people to die for the benefit that a open road system provides. And they're not wrong to do it. There's so many important things that are provided by having roads.
So just for comparison, South Korea in late February, they were having 900 new cases a day. And on April 10th, they had 27 cases a day.
Right.
So it's
and
like,
since they aren't China, we can sort of depend on
we
their
can
reporting.
trust that. But yeah, so once it's like you see a big drop off like that here, it's going to be...
Number of cases, who cares? During flu season, how many people get sick? Tons of people. We really need to know how many people are dying. The number of people who get sick is not quite as important. Things are going to get back to normal. The good news is that it's not some sort of world-ending pandemic. It doesn't look like.
In YG News, it says, according to Naver, YG Entertainment has once again postponed the long-awaited comeback of Blackpink, as well as Big Bang's comeback after their military service due to the coronavirus.
Well, that's expected. What would be the point of coming back this time?
But you've got time to do things. You've got time to record music and
Who says they haven't recorded
work on
it?
studio things.
Who says they haven't recorded it?
Well, why wouldn't you just release something?
It's not a great time to release it, I don't think, right? They can't tour. They can't, promote it. It's not a great time to release it. So I'm okay with them postponing it. That's fine. Even though it's been forever since we've had a Blackpink thing. But, oh well.
I mean, I guess... Are they postponing it because they didn't do it yet? Or are they postponing it because they don't think it's a good time for marketing?
And they don't think it's a good time. If they wanted to record it or anything like that, they could have done that.
I just don't know. Because I think a lot of people are spending time at home and they have time to listen to music and download albums and buy albums and, obsess about K-pop stuff. Like, people have time because they're at home.
Is that where they make their money, though? Don't they make money touring?
Yeah, but you can tour at any time later on, but you have people's attention when they're at home. You can make a lot of digital sales.
Usually when people tour, it's close to when they release new music because that's fresh on people's minds, right?
But BTS's album came out and their tour was going to be like 2 months later. So it's like if they're touring months from now, it's like if your album's out now, people are going to get to know it and learn all the songs and
maybe
like it or not like it. And I mean, like just for example, like Dua Lipa released her album. Was it like 1 or 2 weeks ago? And apparently it's like sales are going pretty well. And she released it early because of coronavirus. So I think it's something you could try to take advantage of if you think you're the kind of artist that, well, people are going to buy the album. They need something to listen to. They're going to be at home. They're going to like focus on that. But maybe K-pop companies don't think the same way.
Yeah, maybe. Because K-pop, they still depend a lot on album sales as opposed to other regions. They don't depend as much on album sales. They depend on touring more. I don't know. I'm not in the music industry.
But Lady Gaga was supposed to have an album come out soon, and I've just seen people like annoyed.
Well, did she delay it or did she put it out early?
No, she delayed it. She was going to release something around this time and decided to do it later. And I just saw a lot of people that were just like annoyed with that. They were like, "Well, I wanted to hear Lady Gaga music because I'm at home bored. Okay. I want to hear."
True.
They
new
were
music. Annoyed with it, but at the bottom line, which strategy would make more money? If she delays it or puts it out early?
For album selling, to release it early.
In this day and age, in 2020, album sales in general are less important to the bottom line than touring. That's true. You agree with that, right? Touring is where the money's really at. Album sales are not where it's at.
She hasn't even announced a tour yet, so I think that's just like you're getting ahead of it. It's like you need to have an album that people love and that they want to hear live.
But you need to have the album close to when the tour is announced.
I don't think that's necessary because like Taylor Swift's album came out like August 2019 and her tickets are like a year later basically, and everybody still bought tickets to that. Well,
Taylor Swift is maybe a little bit more popular than Lady Gaga at this point, but I would say that
the more of a gap you have to have a really successful album because otherwise people will like forget. They're like,
correct.
Oh, the next new album of someone else, I'm going to listen to that.
True.
So you have to have good music come out.
Yeah, and maybe you're not confident that it is good music. Good music is subjective too, right? Of course, you probably think that your album is good, but who knows if other people subjectively
everybody
think it's good.
Likes their own work,
right?
I'm sure.
So you probably... Think about it. If you were a music artist, that would be a concern. You would say, should I release it? It's not obvious one way or the other. Should I release it early? If I release it early, what if people forget by the time they need to buy my concert tickets? Who knows when COVID's over? Because it's only when it's over that I can sell concert tickets. Maybe I should release it later. That way, my music is fresh on people's minds when they're buying tickets to concerts.
It is, but then you'll have competition from everybody else who waited too.
True. There will be a glut of musicians who are selling concert tickets at that time. So it's not like obvious what you should do, but there's arguments to do it one way or the other. I agree with their decision to wait.
So it's like YG is delaying Blackpink and Big Bang for strategic reasons. I think YG hustled and released the winter album just because they had to. I think that was not a strategic reason.
No, it wasn't.
And it's because they knew they couldn't tour anyway because half the group was not going to be there. So they were like, let's just release it anyway.
Pretty good album. Yep.
But at the same time, that kind of sucks because it's like they didn't even have a chance to try to promote it.
Well, such is life. I just don't agree with winter. They should have all enlisted. Why not? Who knows how long this corona thing is lasting? This is a great time to enlist because everything's sort of, on pause anyway. So why don't all of you just try to do your 18 months right now?
I think they should. Two of them went, but is there like a big age gap between the other two? Or
if you're 18, you can go. So let's say that everything's sort of on pause for 4 months. Well, that means that essentially your enlistment only put you out of commission for 14 months.
Right, since everybody was out for...
Yeah, that's just over a year where your entire group was out of commission. That's barely anything. Especially when you're talking about YG, they have gaps of more than a year anyway.
Yeah.
It's barely noticeable at that point, right? So really, they should all go right now. Really,
Well,
they should.
if you were like the youngest person in winter, would you like resent that? It's like, well, I have to
Who
go
cares
when
if you
I'm
resent
like
that?
22 or something.
I'm pretty sure that your company will just tell you you have to do it. Who cares if you resent it? And I don't think you should resent it anyway, because you have to do it eventually anyway. And this is strategically a good time. You shouldn't resent it. And if you do, shut up. This is K-pop, remember? You can just sort of tell people what to do.
Is YG telling them to split up then? They must be saying
Yes.
like, okay, 2 of you go and then
Yes.
2 of you don't go.
I'm
right
sure the
now.
company is telling them what to do. This is not the type of decision that they would just let the artist just, hey, this is what I want to do.
Well,
No.
I don't understand why they're having them stagger it if they have big gaps with their groups anyway.
I don't know. This is the way they did with Big Bang. So 2 of them went. What are the other 2 going to do? They can't perform this album.
They can't do anything for a while.
Yeah, they can't perform this album. They only have 4 people in their group. BTS could theoretically have 1 person go, 2 people go, another 2, whatever. 5 people can perform everything
Yeah.
theoretically all the way through this time period. Winner can't do that.
Yeah.
It's 2 people.
You can't have a tour with 2 people.
Yeah, and nobody can replace somebody else. That's just
I don't think YG is like planning stuff out.
no. They're
that
not really thinking
strategically.
They really should send everybody right now. But whatever. If they had solid plans for stuff, well, we won't get into it. But yeah, it wouldn't be all the way it is now.
Nothing new with YG. Hashtag called Big Hit Protect Your Artists has started a trend in South Korea after the poor behavior by the company staff towards their artists, BTS and TXT, was revealed. This article says this hashtag was trending, and it's basically based on a couple incidents that people noticed in some recent videos, one of which was a Bangtan bomb where Jin was using his DSLR camera at the 2019 Melon Awards, and even though it was blurred out, there was a female staff member pointing her camera at Jin and taking pictures of him, which I don't know how that was construed as a really negative thing. It's like, don't they have people taking pictures all the time of them? Staff members
isn't
doing?
that part of their whole, media, social media? Don't they have to constantly take pictures of them? I would think. Yeah.
That's what I thought well, I just assumed.
What do you think the pictures on Weverse that you see come from, guys?
Yeah, I just assumed this person was somebody taking some kind of photo for one of their
Do
platforms.
you think it's just the other band people taking all these Why? I would have assumed it's staff people taking these pictures, right? Isn't that what they're doing? They're taking pictures of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
normal.
I think fans see something and sometimes they'll react because they think, well, this person's just taking a personal photo for herself and
Why would she be
she's
doing
going to
that?
take it home and not do anything work related with it.
Yeah, I don't see why that's an assumption. Yeah.
I think some other fans kind of called that out. They were like, no one would have said anything. It was just a male staff member taking a photo because it's like they put themselves in the place of this female staff member. They're
I would
like,
assume that it's work related.
yeah. Look at some of these other examples because I don't want to assume like, okay, everybody's overreacting. But another one was TXT was at the Gimpo International Airport and they said that TXT staff didn't protect them well enough. I mean, I don't know if that's what happened. Maybe they need better security. I don't know if that's a issue of Big Hit not protecting.
I mean, I saw it. It didn't look like anything to me. Like they tried to protect them.
I think it was
Fans are crazy.
crowded at this airport.
Yeah, fans can be crazy.
Yeah, another example was, a staff member was peeking into a room where Suga was resting. And it's like, well, maybe somebody had to check on him. It's like there's time to do something. And it's like, send this intern or whatever to see what's happening with the group. I don't think you can assume anything from like a couple of frames. It's like, oh, this staff member's doing this. They're totally stepping over the line. It's like, I don't know about that. You can't really say that for sure just from a photo. And then another example was Yoonjun from TXT. He was the one holding the umbrella instead of the manager. It's like...
Okay. I mean, wasn't that just one shot though, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the other guy had his hands full and maybe he wanted to hold the umbrella.
Right.
I mean, it's like, maybe he's just being nice. It's not like
Yeah,
someone slacked off on their job.
That doesn't qualify as abuse.
No.
To me, yeah, normally it would be the other way around, but is that abuse? No. I remember this is just one picture that you're seeing it in. And even if it was multiple pictures you're singing in, I still don't think it qualifies as abuse that you have to hold the umbrella. Is there argument that the artists are not as valued as the managers, or what? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, the company it's a for-profit capitalist company. They're not stupid. They know where their bread is buttered. They know who has more value to the company. Clearly, the artists have more value than just some manager. To think that a manager is abusing them and making them hold umbrellas or something, come on, that's just not realistic or reasonable. Why would that be the case? And again, not even sure, even if it were the case, I'm not even sure that qualifies as abuse, by the way. That's just weird and backwards.
A lot of these examples are having to do with a staff member is taking photos or video of the members and the fans are interpreting that as like, oh, this is not when they should be doing that, or they shouldn't be doing that. It's like, how do you know? It seems like backstage there's stuff being photographed all the time, or videotaped, and maybe they're not using it for the YouTube channel. It could be for a DVD. It could be a behind the scenes of anything,
Right.
Like they have so many outlets
Right.
for footage. It could be for really anything, or their social media. So I don't think that's like anything definitive.
No.
When you just see a blurred out staff member taking a photo that a fan thinks, oh, that shouldn't be a photo being taken at that time. Like, how do you know?
I'm pretty sure their job is to take photos of them all the time. If you think it's invasive, then, well, but you participate in the various things that are sort of inherently invasive, right? K-pop stars have so much of their lives sort of laid bare. It's sort of invasive, but that's what a lot of fans like. So that's a little hypocritical, and I'm almost certain that it's intentional. They're supposed to be taking these pictures. There's no reason to cry foul or
Yeah, and if they weren't supposed to be, I'm sure that person would get in trouble for it, because there's like footage everywhere of,
Right.
oh, this person's taking an inappropriate photo. Well, that person would have gotten in trouble for it.
Yeah.
There's
So, I'm sure it's
everybody
fine.
witnessed it.
I'm sure it's fine.
And I understand the concern. Like, I think fans are like afraid that there's a lot of like secret sasaengs. They're like, oh, they're staff members, but they're secretly, sasaengs.
What? No, I don't. Okay, I don't think that's true. But maybe
I think it would be very hard for someone like that to get,
to get
such close
on the
access
staff,
to
yeah.
them. They'd be,
And at some point, I'm pretty sure the company would sniff you out. They would say, "Hey, you're actually a psycho."
right. It's like, what are you doing with all these photos?
Yeah.
'Cause we haven't seen any, handed over to us. So what are
Right.
you doing with them?
So I'm not concerned about that. But it's a funny hashtag that was trending, I guess.
It was a story. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. New episodes weekly. Please comment, review, or rate in the podcast platform you're using. Follow us on Twitter @OurBTS. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.